Today's reading is from Proverbs 29:18. Where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that kept the law, happy is he. Seong Book 1, Chapter 1, Section 138. God's heart exists not only in the Word, but also in everything He created. God's heart is everywhere throughout heaven and earth. Thus we say there is nowhere that God does not exist. That is, God is omnipresent. Since God's heart is in all things of creation, if you want to be in His heart, you should embrace everything that exists in heaven and on earth as your own. Our heart desires to go beyond our people, the world, and all created things and be with God. In our heart, we yearn to go to the place where we can even claim that God is ours. A person who has such a heart is with God. Adieu.
Please be seated. Thank you, everyone, for the warm welcome. I feel very much a part of you being here today. I know a lot of you, and I don't know everybody, but I feel close to you all. I'm sorry that my other half is not here today. Everyone's asking me, well, where's your wife? I really feel she's more important than me. And I've been telling some communities that I think the only reason Mother appointed me is because she wanted my wife. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Pastor Manoj, and everyone here for welcoming me. I feel so much at home. I always start off by this usual line that I use every one of my sermons. Seeing you is seeing the face of God. And the reason I say that is because when you look at every one of you, every part of you is created in the image and likeness of God. The other day I was reading some of Father's words, and he was talking about our face, and specifically he said our face is one of the most important parts of our body. He's also talked about other important parts, but he really focused in on the face and especially the eyes. So I want you to look at the person next to you. And do you see God in each other's face? Look very clearly. What color is their eyes? Look them in the eyes. Sometimes you ask your husband or a spouse, do you know the color of your husband's eyes or wife's? They don't even know. But Father, this one sermon he gave one time, he started talking about the eye, and he was saying how the eye, think about the eyelid, that it was created to protect you from the sun. And that just didn't happen by chance or accident. He talked about the eyelashes. Now, do you ever notice how the hair grows in one way? So that the water will run down and run off to the side, not right into your eyes. He explained about the eye ducts that generate the water so your eyes stay moist. And he said that it probably took God 10,000 years to figure out the eye. That's how long. So if you just think about that alone, then you realize how incredible creative and visionary God is for us. He went into the face about talking about our ears. And he said, what if your ears were facing this way? He goes, does it make sense to talk to people from the back of their head? No. And he talked about how waves come into your ears. There's an outer and an inner ear, and if it just hit directly, it would just, kill your eardrums. So you have these ears designed for a specific purpose so that you can hear people right in front of you talking to you. So if I stood the other way, you would think it's weird, wouldn't you? But my ears were back here. He also talked about the nose. And Father, when he talked about the nose, he would grab his nose and twist it, and his ears. He was so animated talking about the human face. And the nose, he said, just think if it was turned upside down. Can you imagine if your nose was like this and everything fell into it? So he said, even the nose, what if it just narrow and straight? Then, again, he said, sweat and water would go, down into your face instead of going off to the side. And then he talked about our mouth. He goes, it's a magic box. Why is it a magic box? You ever think about it? You ever seen one of those tree shredders? When they cut down a tree, they have this big machine. They push the tree into and it grinds it up. So think about your mouth. Your lips are right there. Your teeth are there. Your tongue is there. And you're chewing food. And you don't cut yourself all the time. It's like it's harmonious. He said it's quite miraculous to think that God created that mouth for a specific purpose. So that when you look at the human face, you have to believe that there is a living God. And that living God is with us all the time. That living God is real as you and I are sitting here. That's why everything works so close together. So God is closely connected to our life. Very closely connected. That's why I read that passage today. Let me read it to you again. God's heart exists not only in the Word, but also everything He created. God's heart is everywhere throughout heaven and earth. Thus we say there is nowhere that God does not exist, that God is omnipresent. Since God's heart is in all things of creation, if you want to be in His heart, you should embrace everything that exists in heaven and earth as your own. Our heart desires to go beyond our people, the world, and all things, and be with our God. In our heart, we can go to the place where we can even claim God as our own. A person who has such a heart is with God. I didn't come here today to talk about faces. My sermon has to do with like a vision. Of course, when you talk about the eyes, you're talking about vision, aren't you? But we got to have a vision, especially if we are to look toward the future and we are to guide our lives and to guide this movement. We need a vision of where we're supposed to go, what we're supposed to do. That's why the passage, without a vision, in Proverbs, the people perish. We've got to have our vision. Everyone asks me, what is it like being president of the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification? That's a big question. It's something I never ever thought about before. It was something I never imagined. But I have one great benefit, is that every week I get to sit with Dr. Kim. I get to hear him share about mother, about father, about his life experience with them. Every week during our weekly meeting, he shares something. During Hundoke, when we read on Mondays when he's there, he shares something. And the beautiful thing about Dr. Kim is this, is he knows Korean. And because he knows Korean, and because he moved in with father and mother into their house when he was 12 years old, he grew up with them. He was around them. He's seen our movement over many, many years. He's worked in Korea, but also he worked in America. So we have the benefit of understanding fathers and mother's love for America, and also Dr. Kim shares that same love and the same vision that Father saw for America and this world. So it's always a great pleasure to work with him and to come upon a foundation that was laid by him and Dr. Balcom and all of our wonderful headquarters staff with incredible talent, incredible heart, incredible willingness to do things when they need to be done. So that's why I feel very much at home. And I know there's some of you here that actually work at headquarters. So we just experienced a bigger vision 1 month ago at Madison Square Garden. I think Dr. Kim came here and spoke to you, and I think he shared his testimony that we're not doing things as usual. Do you remember that speech that he gave here? It's not business as usual. I can't be as usual. And he shared his testimony. So what we saw was, we saw the vision of true mother, that even though we didn't necessarily believe we could do it, even though we wanted to do things as usual, she had a bigger vision. So Madison Square Garden is a great venue because it's a venue that's recognized all over the world. That if you go around Madison Square Garden, you'll see some quotes there. It says, "The arena that is known worldwide." The name Madison Square Garden doesn't have the name TD Bank North or the Staples Center or some other kind of business. It's actually its own name and its own brand. So even people that didn't hear from our movement for a while, for them to see that Mrs. Moon, after her husband died 5 years ago, is speaking at such a huge venue, and so many people there, and the spirit being so high, they were astounded, they were amazed. Because of her vision, this could happen. So even now, when you watch True Mother's video, when you hear her speak, she's getting more and more optimistic. She is saying things like, "Soon the unified world will come." Have you heard that? You hear things like, "I'm going to create this Chungwon complex, the Chungpyeong area. This is going to be something that the whole world can come to and be proud of." How many of you have been to Chungpyeong recently? How many has been like 5 years? I don't know if you've been there recently, but things are changing. Some people would like us to believe that Chungpyeong died. But actually, Chungpyeong is more vibrant, more energy, more young people, more education than ever. And True Mother's emphasis is on the young people. 1,400 young people are there now. And every summer, all the time, Mother is welcoming the young people. And when you go there and you pray, you'll find that there's so many young people who will come into the prayer room while you're praying. And young people, when you were young, and they're praying there as strong as you prayed when you were young. And there's thousands of them. And they're from all over Asia, from all over the world. That's why they are the future, and our movement has a future. We've become so spread, we don't even know how many people are in our movement, because kids are having kids, and it's multiplying like that. That is what True Mother's building is, that kind of beautiful environment that we can go to. So I checked on the Vatican. I don't know if the Vatican is its own little country. Its annual budget is $335 million. It doesn't meet its budget. It only has $315 million in revenue. They have a shortfall. Only 1,000 people live at the Vatican. But yet the Vatican is like its own nation. It is its own sovereignty. And in a sense, Chungpyeong is our Vatican. It's our Mecca. It's our place. And that's why Mother is holding such important events there. So Mother has a vision. So Mother has a vision that on a larger scale she's working. That this True Mother of ours can go from Korea to Japan to Thailand. I don't know if you remember Thailand a number of years ago, our members were all in prison. They were all in prison because of our view of the King of heaven and earth, and they have only one king. But when Mother came there, look, all over the country they are adopting the pure love teaching among the young people. Miraculously, it turned around in a short number of years. That's why we don't always know how things can change. When communism collapsed, did you really think it was going to collapse that easily, so quickly? Even though Father said it, everybody was skeptical. And then it seemed so sudden. So even now, the things that are taking place, you don't understand always. We don't know what's really happening in North Korea. God works through our unity, through our connection to each other, through our faith. A small group of people can actually change the world, and we can change it. It can happen because of our unity. I believe that, absolutely. That's why I always have hope, because I know that God is greater than all of us in this room. And many times what we look at the tree because we only see where we are, but we don't see the bigger vision. We don't see us as a worldwide movement working together in many nations around the world. And that no one has that kind of unity because of why? Because of our true parents. They're the ones that bind us together. They're the ones that connect us. They're the ones that bring us together from every different race and culture in this room because of them. So we need a vision. We need a vision individually. If you're single here, what is your vision? If you're young, what do you want to become? What do you want to be 4 years from now, 8 years from now? What are your goals? Not just externally, but how do you want to become inside of yourself? What kind of true person do you want to be? So every day, as an individual, we need to constantly work to improve our spiritual and physical well-being. We have to take care of ourselves spiritually and physically. So every day, try to learn something. Every day now, I'm learning something. Not only from Dr. Kim, but I learn from these young people at headquarters. You know why? Because they can teach me which takes 5 hours in about 30 seconds. So the other day, Damien and Koichi Nagai showed me how to get Father's words by sound on my iPhone. So then they said, yeah, when we walk, we have earphones, and I can listen while I'm walking Father's words from the Chung Sung Gyung. He did it just like that, an email, downloaded it in my iPhone, plugged my earphones in, I can get it in slow speed and fast speed. Just like that. That's where we learn from our young people. And then they learn from us. That's why first and second gen, we need a vision together so that we can actually do greater things. There's so much talent there. And then as a family, you need a vision. Regardless of where your family's at. Think, where do I want my family 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, if we're still here? But think, I have a plan, God, and pray about that plan, and God can work through you to actually bring that about. That's why if you really focus and have a vision, then you can do greater things. So I want to encourage you to keep the vision. Don't lose hope. Think about even your children or the people you know. Are you in touch with them? Are you communicating with them? Maybe you're estranged from them, estranged. Whatever, stay connected. Stay connected to each other, because the way to lose your spiritual life is to get isolated, to think you're all alone, to think I don't have any brothers and sisters. Don't ever think like that, because we are all part of the same family. And whatever you need is probably here in this room, or the answer is already within you. It's there. And you can bring it out, and you can become whatever you want to become, brothers and sisters. So now, I have to say that everything takes time. So in your own personal life, your family life, everything takes time to grow. Just like, what did we feel like 5 years ago when Father passed away? What was the atmosphere? How did you feel? And the years after, what did you feel? And what did you feel after Madison Square Garden? Did you feel hope? Did you really feel hope? You don't sound like you did. You know, because we have to look at the glass half full, not half empty. So when you look at life, if you're always looking at everything half empty, you can never go anywhere. You have to look at what you have and be grateful for what you have, and then you can go forward and do great things. That's why those that always look at things half empty, they can never go forward because they're tied down. That's why we got to look to things, to the future. Look at things in the right light. That's why we can have hope and we can have a great vision for the future. So consistency and practice is what makes that happen. So I grew up on a farm, and every year we planted crops, and we planted gardens, and you do too, you have gardens. And you know, if you go out and check on that garden every day, first of all, you put the seed in the ground, and then you go out there, nothing's coming up. Is it going to come up? It might not come up. Maybe it needs more water or something. You're thinking, is it going to make, then all of a sudden you see a little sprout after maybe a week. It says it right on the package how soon it should sprout. But you're impatient. And then it grows a little bit. You go out there every day, you go, it's not growing so much. But if you plant it and you go away and someone else takes care of it and you come back a month later, you go, wow, that really grew. That's what's happening in our movement right now. Is that we have done a lot in the last 5 years. Mother has brought things together. She had had to eliminate some things, practically. But in her strategy, she brought things together and streamlined many things and focused on our youth, focused on rebuilding our foundation and education. And that has been powerful. And it's growing, believe me. The people that were 13 years old or 12 years old or 11 years old 5 years ago are now 16, 17, and 18. And they are getting a kind of education that is transforming their lives. And that's why when all the young people came from the workshops across the country to Madison Square Garden, they were inspired. They caught a greater vision. That's our hope, brothers and sisters. That is a great hope, and Mother recognizes that. And that's why she's investing so much in our youth. Finally, I see that I've talked quite a bit, but I just want to say to all of you, don't ever give up. Don't ever lose hope. If you lose hope, then it's very difficult to live your life. Always look toward the future, and God will bless you. Walk with the living God every single day of your life. Breathe with God. Do something different tomorrow that you didn't do today. It might be a little thing. It might be giving up something you love, like chocolate. That's hard, isn't it? Or it might be walking around the block. It might be calling up someone you've never talked to of a different race or culture and saying, let's Let's go out for coffee. The thing that I learned as an IW is that when you sit and listen to people in their life, then you become part of their life. You share each other's journey of faith. You share each other's testimony to how God worked in their life. And then you share how both of you came to the place you are because God brought you there. And you share that in common. And you create a bond of heart. Like everyone in this room, we should begin to feel for each other that way. When we create that kind of culture, when we begin to feel that other children are my own children, that when we have a sports fest at Berrytown, maybe your children aren't there, maybe your children are gone, but go there and root for your local team. Be the cheering squad for them. Support our youth and help them. Do that. Stand on the sidelines and be part of it. Have more parents there as observers. Participate in what your children do. Because children can never deny their parents. Any of the children, I don't care whose family it is, because you were born from your parents, you can never say, my parents are not my parents. You have no choice. That's why your family has to come together. Eventually, every family has to come together. That's the wish of true parents, and that's the wish of many of us in this room. There's no other institution that is more valuable than the family. And when we have strong families, then God can live and dwell there. That's why Father calls it the school of love. That's the beauty. So let us do that, brothers and sisters. Thank you for this day, and I'm very happy to be here, and God bless you. Is that okay? Okay, let us pray, everyone. Our loving Heavenly Parent, our true Father who's in the eternal spiritual world, and our true Mother who's on this earth, guiding the providence to realize the kingdom of heaven on this earth. Heavenly Parent, all humankind's always wanted to have true parents. From the very beginning, you wanted to establish through Adam and Eve your ideal of creation. Your only begotten son and daughter, as our Father said in his peace message, was to be Adam and Eve. And they were to establish that ideal. That was lost because of the fall. And for all of human history, all of that time of history, people have been suffering, doing tragic things to one another, hurting one another, and doing things unimaginable to one another. And even today, when we think about this world, it still exists. But we have the hope. We have the light that shines in this world. It's growing and growing through our families, the blessed central families of this world, those who inherited the title as tribal messiahs, those who inherited the title of leaders of their clan. Heavenly Parent, we have the responsibility to change this human history not through guns or weapons or manipulation, but through love, through our heart, we can move this world, we can move everything around us. Please, Heavenly Parent, guide us as we go forward this week. And may we accomplish everything you want us to accomplish. And may we live with you in heart. And that our heart and your heart become one. And that through that heart, that we recognize you wherever we look, wherever we turn, all around us. Bless these families. Bless this community. Bless our nation. Bless our world. And bless the work of our true parents on this earth. I report this in the name of Richard and Marjorie Busing, a Blessed Central family. Adieu.